with another edition of Semi-Pro Gridiron Rant. Kenny White Flash Anderson over there.
New one. Got a new one.
Joining us today, you did. There you go. I told you I'm going to give you a new one every week. My man G. Oh my God, we played together. You've coached me. You've owned a team I've played on. I don't know. There's so much, but Chris Gorman. What is your official title with the Strong now? Owner?
General manager. Defensive coordinator.
All right.
Lunatic.
There you go.
Keeps coming back year after year after
He
year
does.
after year. Listen, I invested, one thing about Gorman, I invested what I thought was a lot into the Shock those few years. Gorman could buy me 30 times over with what he's invested throughout his years. I mean, he single-handedly allowed these dudes to play in some national title games. But we'll get into that.
We got a lot to get into, huh, G?
Yeah. We might need like 8 shows for Gorman. I mean, he's one of the few dudes that are around still that are been doing this longer than me. Hanky, he may have been doing this longer than you and I combined.
I don't know.
I got in.
I don't know about that.
95.
Was 95 your first year?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, then you actually
By the
started
way,
2 years after me.
I was a sophomore in high school then, Gorm. Just saying. No, brother. I mean, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in probably a good 10 years at least, man.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Hanging out here in Moravia, New York.
Living that retired life.
Yeah. Been retired.
You retired now too?
I've been retired for 4 years.
So me and Gorman have quite a history too, man. Let's see. So he's the only person that I've played alongside, been coached by, played against, coached with, and he was actually kind of on my board when we owned the Shock. So we had there's not much him and I haven't done together other than, yes, he's won national championships and I haven't. We've gone over there. I haven't won any, but
dude, you're never going to live
never ending story.
Buddy. I hate to tell you.
The other thing that we've done that I can't relay to anybody else is I've also sold him 2 cars. I sold him a truck and I sold his wife a route.
Yeah, you sold me a lemon too. It's all good.
That's right, Hanky. We're close. You and I didn't coach together, so we've got quite a few of those. Nor did we play together because I'm too old. But but yeah. So actually, yeah, I've sold both of these knuckleheads a car. Perfect. All right. All right. So let's get into it, Chris. Tell us a little bit. Go far back as you want. Your story's long, but go back as far as you want and start where you think things get interesting for us.
It all started in 95. I was sitting in a bar room and a friend of mine started a team in Cortland, and that was it. I got into playing, and then I got into the management part of it. Then from there we had the CNY Express, the Cortland team, and the Syracuse Express merged together. I did that for a couple years. 2001, I went to Syracuse Vipers. Then they lasted a couple years till the money ran out. That's how it works. The money runs out and you're done.
Yeah, it's usually how that works.
Yeah.
Then I went back to the Express in 2003 and became the head coach by default. Mm-hmm. Everybody else left. We won the league that year. I got coach of the year.
You did.
Nice.
We did. We did. So, G, before we get into the rest of that, was it the Cortland Warriors back in 95?
Hey, folks, thanks for watching. Please do us a favor. Tackle that subscription bar, stiff arm the bell. That way you'll get notifications when our new episodes come out. Thanks again for watching.
Yeah, I think we started playing in 96 was the first year, I think. They all came from the Ithaca Warriors.
Yeah, because
the Ithaca.
Gotcha. Was it the Wave?
Ithaca Wave.
Was it? I don't know. Yeah. We ended up it was I want to say 99 when the merge happened with the Warriors and the Express, and we had some good talent on those teams. And good coaching. I mean, between Walt and Luther, you know what I mean, and Gorman was a center then. I think I might have played tackle. I played we've both played up and down the positions every line that we played on. But it was always interesting back in the day, man, because we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
No, still don't.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of teams out there today that still don't know, but that's what makes it fun, right? So you've gone through. You were at the Express, and then you said the Viper, or I'm sorry, the Storm, and then you went back to the Express, right? And then then you went to the Vipers, right?
What was it? The Warriors, Express, Vipers.
Yep.
Back to the Express.
Back to the Express. Yeah. Then the Storm. Did you ever go coach the Storm?
I didn't do anything with the Storm.
Nothing with the Storm. So you skipped the Storm years, and then those were Sturpey, right? Sturpey on the Storm, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So Sturpey and then Jerome.
Yeah. So then there was the Sturpey years, and then that's when I headed to Watertown. So what happened in like that 2003-4 area?
2003, we were the Express.
Okay.
2004
was national championship time, buddy.
That cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the first one.
That definitely cost. That year cost you a lot of money.
And I didn't even own the team.
No.
That's the force light on the team.
Right.
Yeah.
And he got the trophy.
Oh, he took the trophy.
Oh,
too?
I used to. Oh. So here's the funny thing about that 2003-2004 teams, Kenny. The 2003 teams is when we really started building. I mean, you had Stevie Scott. We had Frankie was our quarterback, and Frankie couldn't throw. So it was sweep left, sweep right with Steve, throwing out to Mitch Moore, who was one of our receivers. And that was really it. And then we had, I think, BB then, and we pound BB up the gut. Like, we didn't have a whole lot of plays on offense. We had really nasty defense then, too. And we went and played in Rochester under construction lights. That was the grand old construction light time.
We've all done that at least once. We've all played under those construction lights at least once. Part of goes with the territory.
Yeah, that was fun. And then we after we won I think was that the fumble and the construction lights that was out of bounds, right, G? That they couldn't see.
Yeah. Didn't Steve Scott chase down Dobie?
Yep. Yeah. Fumble out of bounds.
Yep.
Ref couldn't see it. Steve takes it back the other way, and we scored a touchdown like 3 plays later. And then a funny story after that, we made it back to Syracuse by, I want to say, midnight, and we were at Anna's. Yep. G brings in champagne. Now, this is the first time, and we were popping bottles. We were so sloppy, like just dumb drunk at that point. But that was a good year, man. 2003 was fun. That was a fun year to win.
Hanky Dobie's joining us in a couple weeks, so you can remind him of that fumble out of bounds.
Yeah, I'll remind him of that. I'll remind him how he got me lit up when we played Arena too. Don't worry, there's plenty there.
Yeah, he's paying us a visit in a few weeks, so that'll be fun. So Gorman, long story short, we're gonna fast forward a few years. Chris comes out of retirement. I can't remember if I reached out to you or you reached out to me. I can't remember how it went down, but when we went back to the Shock, you came out, you helped. And as D coordinator, I made a request. You want to explain what that request was?
For the defense?
Boy. Yes, sir.
You threw me a playbook, the 3-3-5, and said, "Make this work." And I'm like, "What? Make this work?" And I worked on it, and we still run that defense today.
Yeah, that defense is nasty. Now, my theory behind the 3-3-5, or some guys call it the 3-5-5 or 3-5-3, depending on what you want to call it, but my theory was this, and I think I explained this to Chris at the time, was at our level, and Hanky, we talk about this all the time, finding bigs is hard. Mm-hmm. You're lucky to have 10 dudes so you can have 5 D linemen, 5 offensive linemen. You're lucky. Mm-hmm. And usually 1 or 2 dudes are playing both ways or rotating, playing both ways. So what I finally said was, listen, we got a ton of athletes. Let's get extra athletes on the field. And let's try this defense. And Chris was like, "What in the hell is this you're showing me?" But once he figured out, man, we had a legit D, man. Just let the athletes play is basically how that goes, So I when he told me that he still runs that defense today, I cracked up because I know he was like, "What in the hell is this thing you're trying to make me run?" So,
well, I think what happens is most of those guys that are playing defensive end are an outside linebacker anyway.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That is standing up. So I mean, it kind of works.
Well, this past year I had Flash Gordon at defensive end.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now Flash Gordon,
and he hits like a truck.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Flash Gordon was my tailback. He was a corner at the time. My first year, about halfway through the season, we brought him in a blowout, and the dude took his first carry almost to the crib. And I'm like, who is this guy? So he ends up being my starting tailback the rest of the year, and he leads the league in rushing with a half a season at tailback. And then from there on out, he was my tailback, and he had several years after that at other teams playing tail too. So you got a tailback playing D end. Now he's lost a step, probably, but he was fast as hell. And his deal, he is the most balanced athlete I've ever seen. And in other words, you could try to knock him off his feet, and he'll make like this ricochet where most humans are down on the ground. He finds a way to stick a hand in the dirt and get his ass back up straight. I don't know how he does it, but that's the thing. Yeah, he's fast, and yeah, he's got great vision, and yeah, he can cut on a dime. But the fact that you can't just knock him down, you try to hit him without wrapping him, he does a bounce and then he's gone. So you had Flash Gordon at DN running your 3-3 stack there. So I'm trying to go ahead.
The year before that, I had a kid from Mississippi came up to play with us, and he had 25 sacks at that spot.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's exactly right. Put an athlete there, and good luck blocking him off the edge.
Yeah.
I mean it's just.
Well, you got to block him with a tight end or a running back. I mean, there's really nobody else that's going to block him, right?
Exactly.
Most teams don't even use a tight end anymore.
Yeah.
Yep. No. So then we went to we had the shock again. I had to dissolve the shock because my career took me a different direction. And I couldn't sustain it. So we shut it down. So about a year later, Leroy came to me, Leroy Collins, who was on earlier episode, and he asked me if I'd be interested in starting up another team in Syracuse. I was honored that he asked, but unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to do that. So I think Chris, did you go to Leroy, or did Leroy come to you? I forget how that went.
He called me. You must have gave him my number.
I probably did say call Gorman. Yeah, you know what?
He'll do it.
I hate to say it. I probably did say my man Gorman, though. He loves this sport, so that's probably how it went down. So then, so he put together this football team, which Syracuse was dying to have a team back in the city anyway. Unfortunately, the shock went. We had guys playing in Albany, we had guys playing in Troy, we had guys playing in Watertown, we had guys playing in Lockport and Buffalo, and spread out all over the joint. So to bring a team back to Syracuse, which I wish I was a part of, but unfortunately, again, I just wasn't in a position to do that. But so that first year, there were some dynamics in place, and I remember you calling me and asking me what I thought of certain people and having them around. So there were some issues, which most starting teams have their first year. What do you remember your record that first year coming out of the gate?
12-4.
12-4. Well, that's not bad. I mean, again, you're loaded with athletes, and most of them were still playing. So, but to get everybody together, and who was your head coach that year?
Dave Johnson.
Right, Johnson.
Is that where you were going? Were you trying to work that one out there?
No, there's even more to that story. But there's other personnel that he had inquired about, and I gave my honest opinions as to what I felt. One of them is mine and your mutual.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So I gave him my opinion. Gorman, the great dude that he is, gave this person a shot, and all he did was prove my opinion.
I'm going to be honest with you, it was probably his 30th shot with Gorman.
Exactly. Exactly. So, it happens. Sometimes your reputation precedes you, and it is what it is. But so they get by that growing pain, and for most teams, they're like, hell, we wish we were having growing pains at 12-4. So fast forward into season 2, did you start winning league titles, and how long before you took it to the chip?
We won the first year.
First year you won the league title.
Right.
You didn't win national that year, right?
No, we didn't go to nationals.
Right.
The following year we did.
Yeah, that first year you just couldn't come up with the money yourself.
I brought Ed Watkins in as head coach.
That's right, Watkins. Yep. That's Hanky, isn't he your boy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Watkins, one of your boys.
Yes, sir.
And he coached it. I don't know much about him. I never played with him or played against him or coached with him or coached against him. So didn't he coach at OCC?
Yep.
Right. And he
coached it. Yeah, he won it. He won a national title at OCC with the JUCO.
Right.
I coached with him there one year. I want to say he coached us back in the Express. Prior to Gorman. No, he was with you, Gorman, when we were.
He was the backup quarterback. He was the backup quarterback.
Yes,
I never got in because he always had to tell me what play to run.
Yes.
Dad, give me a pass play. I need a pass play, quick.
That's funny. We got to keep that on the sideline. He's helping me call the plays here.
Yeah, and then he coached at the Vipers, I believe, right? Or played one of the two.
He played. I believe it was a defensive back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he played DB.
He still had a little bit of. Yeah, okay. He used to be skinny. He's not skinny anymore. He's fat now.
I think that's pretty much all of our stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
We used to all be skinnier. Yeah,
Gee, what was the when you guys first started with the Strong? What league were you guys in?
We started out in the Empire Football League the first 2 years.
So basically, and then you moved to what league after that?
The third year, the Empire League fell apart, and it took a year off. So we went to this World Football League.
Never heard of that one.
That was just a mess. I mean, we ended up losing to Albany 3 times that year. But that's the only games we lost. Then we ended up going to New Orleans that year to play in a bowl game.
Nice. Did you win the bowl game?
Yeah, we won 15-6.
Okay. And that Albany team, wasn't it the year Justin and Flash went and played? They were playing running back for them.
Yeah, they stayed there. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had
there's quite a few guys from Syracuse on the team.
Yeah, and they had Tarver, and then they had Baby D, and that little group went there. Okay.
It's so funny though, because that group, the social media back and forth that year that you guys were playing, and the first game, it was so much talk. I mean, you want to talk about trash talk? Like, we're all pretty good trash talkers, right? Even Gorman during a game, and he won't say this, but I'll say it. Gorman will talk trash with people, but it'll be like a dig that you'll be like, did he just really just say that shit? And that would be kind of the trash talk you would get, or he would tell you suck outright. It didn't really make a difference on that, but the trash talk on social media that year between when you guys were playing Albany, it was pretty ridiculous. Like, I almost wish I put pads on, because I would have smacked the shit out of one of those guys just to prove a point at that point. But how many titles did you win with the Strong so far?
We've won 4 league titles. We won the EFL twice, and then the last 2 years we went back to the NFA, and we won that title twice.
Okay, and then this year you were scheduled to be in the GDFL.
Yeah.
Right, and they're on hold, obviously, right, due to the Rona.
Yeah, everybody's. You got some teams out there playing. I don't understand it. Rules are different in different places, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
so tell us just a little bit about going to that was it GDFL? What was I know the NFA is a little bit of a downgrade league, comparatively, but there's some pretty good teams there. But tell us about this GDFL.
I really don't know much about the GDFL. We had to leave. We weren't going back to the Empire League.
Right.
I mean, the competition, that league used to be a great league. The competition has gone downhill in that league. The NFA, we had a problem with a team during a playoff game. After the game, there was a shooting.
I did hear about that.
The other team, Lockport, their player went out and got a gun out of his bag and ended up shooting one of their own players. Crazy. And one of my players' fathers got shot.
Yeah.
So we weren't going. The league wasn't going to do anything to Lockport, so we ended up going to GDFL.
And GDFL is the Gridiron Developmental Football League, for those of you wondering what league that is. So what's different other than the massive travel that's encompassed inside of the GDFL?
more competitive teams, I'd say. GDFL, you could compensate a player for playing.
I was going to say, I thought that one was paid. Now,
some teams do, some teams don't.
Yep. Isn't that similar to I don't remember if you were with us.
NAFL.
That's what I was just going to say. When we were in the NAFL, right? That first year. When I came in, we were in that league, and then that had a bigger spread, and that's
right,
when
right. Same. I mean, the GDFL last year had 14 teams, and this year I think they were up to 46.
Wow, massive expansion.
It was from coast to coast.
Whew. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, most of us as players always said, "Damn, we wish we had one league." You know, at least in New York, we wanted one league, and you know that's kind of cool that they're spread out. But still, I mean, we all know it's impossible to have one league across the country, right? But to have 50 teams in a league, almost that's incredible.
The travel I think would have been our biggest problem.
They didn't regionalize you like they're doing in baseball right now? They didn't keep you all one?
They did, but we would have had Erie Express. That's
3 hours.
That's 3 hours.
4 hours. 3 or 4. Yeah.
There was a Lake Erie Explosion was in Lorain, Ohio, wherever that is. That's
right.
6
I
hours.
think right over the border, maybe. Yeah. Yep.
That's a 6-hour trip.
Yeah. Those are the two closest teams.
Well, one of the Rochester teams decided to go. The Rochester Predators decided to go.
Okay.
With us. So that would have been our
Rochester teams.
They're all the same.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Is it funny to you now, though, G? Like, just obviously when we played, you had the Empire, you had the NYAFL. I mean, what was there, like maybe 22 teams, something like that, roughly? But do you find it funny that there's just people can't figure out how to make things work and just get along at this point? I mean, we're talking about being in 2020.
I mean, that's my whole thing is nobody makes any money at this. It costs you money.
Right.
You all should be trying to work together to we're all after the same common ground, but people want to backstab each other and egos getting away, and you'll never see just one league.
No. And the sad thing is, there's got to be 20 teams in New York alone, right? I mean,
at least
the travel wouldn't be so bad.
20 or more.
Well, isn't there 20 in the NAFL or what?
No, they're
the
down
NFA?
to. I want to say they're down to 12.
Okay, and there's got to be
5
to 8 in the EFL. Then there's 2 or 3 that are playing that independent, not in there. So yeah, we're around 20 teams, and that's not counting the island.
Right.
We're just talking upstate.
Yeah.
You know, and there's got to be 3 or 4 or 5 teams on the island down in the city.
More than that.
Right.
Yeah, so there's got to be close to 30 teams just in New York. New York should just, hey, we got the city division, we got the rural division. You know, someone wins upstate, someone wins downstate. We meet somewhere in the middle and have a state title. You know, but it's just if it were only that simple.
I just make my own state titles.
There you go. That's
the Harvest Bowl.
Hey, listen.
No, that went. They don't even have that anymore.
That went away.
I know it sucks. Hey, look, I think we won the last like true state title though, didn't we, G? I mean, that year we won nationals. The Harvest Bowl, we played us in Glens Falls, right? Was for the finals to make it right? I think that was what it was. That was like the real last. Us in Brooklyn because we ended up playing Brooklyn down in Kingston. That was a fun
Seminoles.
Brooklyn Mariners.
No, Mariners.
Oh, Mariners. Okay.
Yeah, you want to talk about – we had a pretty good rivalry with them that like the 04, 05, 06. And we played in the swamp the one year. Remember that? Or down by the not the swamp. Oh, geez, what was it? A trash place was right behind the field. Remember that, G?
Great.
Right, they play down in Kingsbury
Field
or
something like that. Yeah,
Kings Bay
so
Field.
bad. Yes. Yeah, they cut. It was literally so cold, and we were in overtime. Like they threw a touchdown pass. It wasn't a touchdown. They were out of bounds, and ref puts his hands up. Refs run off the field.
Right,
that was
wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, I think that might have been on our way to another national title game that year, if I'm not mistaken. I believe.
Did you guys, either of you, ever play or coach in Newburgh?
No.
So it was like one of my first.
No.
It was my first season. It might have been our first game. Anyway, their locker rooms were under like the city pool. So you go down these steps, you're in this dungeon and it's leaking, and you're playing in the city, right? So you got this basement leaking all over you. You're trying to get prepped for the game, and then you go up, and these dudes, they're the Newburgh Raiders. Again, I'm like 19, 20 years old. All of them have this is when the full face paint was the thing to do. All their faces are painted like skeletons. I'm like, what in the hell am I getting?
Oh, this was the program when the program came out, right?
Yeah, well, it was 90. It was my rookie year, so it was 93. So what year did the program come out? They're probably all doing their best. They're doing all their best Lattimore impersonations.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, 20 years old, coming out of a dungeon, soaking wet, trying to get dressed. I was shitting my pants a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's funny, but so we, the whole issue is which league, right? I remember even the first year I took over and you were with me, it was like, what league are we going to play in? Because you have to balance that competition. Is it worth the travel versus do we stay local and actually have a team? Because some teams, if they start traveling, like you said, they're not going to last a season. They got to go play in, if they're in Central New York and they got to play a team in Jersey and a team in Vermont and then a team in Ohio and a team in PA and then a team in Virginia and a team in DC, and it just ends up being what the hell. I mean, let's not just talk about the money. Let's talk about the odds of the guys making the trip.
Right.
Between through the years we've had car accidents, we've had car breakdowns, we've had family emergencies, we've had guys that just say, hell, I'm not driving 3 hours to play a football game. So that at this level, that whole travel is. You got to think about it, so you have to think, is it worth being in a league that maybe the competition is not as great and I can at least know I'm going to play 8 games plus playoffs, or do we take the risk and play better teams and hope that our players step up and can be mature enough to get themselves there?
The players will tell you they want to play their better competition.
That's what they tell you.
When you jump to a league like that, then they're like, we're not going that far.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Right. Now, did you face that this year? Well, would you think? Do you think you would have faced that this year?
No, we do pretty good with fundraising and stuff, so we would have had buses or vans, or we would have got the guys there.
Okay. And the one advantage
you all came out of your pocket?
Not anymore, it doesn't.
Not until the national tournament. So with that being said, why is that?
Here's all my receipts.
Wow.
Yeah, that a boy.
There you go. So explain now how the team ownership / council or whatever you guys call it works.
It's a nonprofit corporation, so it's run by a board of directors. I think there's 10 to 15 people on the board. Every year it changes. There's 2 city council people on there, so getting a field now really isn't a problem.
And that's Syracuse City.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other than that, they raise the money, they do the promotions. I still get equipment, helmets, shoulder pads. Other than that, it's all on them.
Well, that's got to be a relief for you as a GM.
How is that? Yeah, how has that worked for you, man? I know. I mean, obviously we've been down the road, but how has that worked for you, just stress wise? You know what I mean?
It takes a lot of stress off me. I don't have to worry about how am I going to pay the officials.
Right.
Where's the money coming for the uniforms? What field are we playing on?
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things.
Concession stand. My wife doesn't have to cook the sausages no more.
Right, no burgers for the
thanks,
no
Sherry.
burgers.
Thanks, Sherry, for helping me out those years. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I mean, as an owner / GM / head of the board / head coach, every game day I'd have to run to the ATM before the game and make sure I had $500 in my pocket.
Yeah.
And that's the least you want to have in your pocket, because that's just going to cover the officials. God forbid it's a rain and nobody shows up and you got hundreds of dollars of food you just bought that's going to go to waste. And, there were games where I wouldn't say we wasted it, but, if we ever overcooked, we obviously fed our players with whatever we had left. And, but to take that off your plate, I mean, that seemed to have taken up half of my week. And if it weren't for people like you and your wife, and even Hanky and his wife, and we had Melissa, all these other people helping us out, it's, to have a board would have been a dream. I mean, we had our own board, but it was just, those basically the people we just.
You didn't have city council members. You put city council members on stuff, man.
Yeah. I mean, fundraising was Melissa did a little, we tried a little, and I stroked the check for the rest. I mean, that was pretty much our fundraiser. It's like whatever we, pizza sales. I mean, you can only make so much per pizza slice, right? It's not like you're going to go out there and make $500 on pizza and blow pops. It just wasn't the way it was going to work. So you're basically in the dream scenario. I would assume, being an owner like I was, that I would have loved to have brought. And I mean, we tried to work towards that, but I ran out of time basically to get to where it was self-funded and had other people pitching in other than the players like Jamie or coaches like you or / owners like me. Now, being an owner, part of it is doing that, which I didn't mind, but doing all of that is crazy. And then also, throwing in the fact I bought a team that was in existence. You did it with a startup. So that had to be even more insane. How did you get to that level so quickly? I mean, how did you get from I'm a startup to now we got a board that's basically funding the team?
Well, our second year, Leroy had to leave the team. He was getting some internship at SU and didn't have the time for the team. And I told him, I said, we're done then. I can't do it by myself. And Khalid Bey, the city councilman, he came to all of our games, and he showed up at practice and said, "Coach, I'm here to help you." And they took it from there.
Wow. So did Leroy? I'm filling in the dots. Did Leroy go to him?
I believe so. Him and Leroy are pretty close, and I believe Leroy went to him and to see if he was interested in helping out. And I mean, I was ready to end it right there.
Well, can't say I blame you. Been there, like I said. It's tough.
So let's take it back real quick. Gorman, what was your favorite year so far? And obviously, you've spent a lot of them playing in semi-pro. What's been your favorite year so far, man?
And we won't accept the day you met me. That season, we're going to keep that off.
I'd had 2004.
That was a special year.
Your national championship.
That was a special year. And it was, I think it was special on the players' end, obviously, because we went to a level that none of us ever thought we would get to, right? You know what I mean? And Gorman was obviously one of the main reasons that we got where we got at the end of the year. So, but that was still pretty damn cool.
What was really cool about that year, unfortunately, again, I was in Watertown that year, but I remember watching the news and seeing all you knuckleheads get off the bus with a trophy. I'm like, no, that's cool. That's you just you didn't see that coverage in our area, whereas in Watertown it's on the news every day, right? Yeah. So in Syracuse, to see you knuckleheads strolling off the bus or off the plane and have the trophy in hand, I'm like, that was some cool shit.
Yeah. I still got guys that owe me $200 a piece for those plane tickets.
So for those of you listening, that owe Gorman 200,
I could probably
interest on that.
I could probably name
12.
every single one. I could probably name every single guy.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my God!
I thought my list of people that still owe me uniform dues was bad, but I guess trips to a trip to Florida. That's a whole. Well, you helped fund the seat and the room.
Right.
So yeah.
No, bunch of cheap bastards.
Now they just take my helmets.
Those are even more expensive. I'd rather them owe me $200 than to take a helmet.
Yeah, helmets $300 now.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
At least they're nicer than when we played with the the air pad inside of it.
Legendary.
Get a concussion. You got the air pad one?
Yeah. This one here. This was actually
front.
This was actually my Syracuse Shock helmet, or I'm sorry, my Syracuse Express helmet that I turned into my.
You ruined it.
My all-star helmet by basically all the years I played. I put different stuff on there, but this was that talk about at the time this was a great helmet, right?
That was
except for when you broke it in, you'd have a headache breaking the helmet in for about
that front pad you got right there, buddy.
Yeah. That forehead pad. Mine used to always like make the crown of my head hurt because that thing just was so hard in there. But those were the days.
I send all my helmets out to Rydell, and it's like $40 a piece. And if a player wants his helmet out, they'll give me the money, and I'll send it out. And I'll have somebody give me a helmet like that. Hey, can you get this one done?
No.
What? Are you serious?
If it's over 10 years old,
just like still 10 years, right? Listen, this was my last helmet, and this is now 10 years old. So this helmet, which was the shot, I forget what they called this. Was this the Revolution?
Crap too.
Yeah. Well, this is.
No, that's not the right.
This was the bladder, the new bladder they used, which was a lot softer. But I was just thinking the other day, this helmet's now illegal because I wore this in. I got this new in 2009, so this helmet's illegal now. Yep. So doesn't take long. And there's got. Remember Tom Brady? I was saying it last year. Tom Brady was still trying to rock his bike helmet.
Yeah.
That had and they finally said, no, Thomas, you got to wear the new gear. So he had to break down and finally get a new helmet. But so
he never got hit. What the hell's the difference?
Well, that's true. At least not up top, right?
Not
hit at all now. He's not. No one. The Tom Brady rule. No one's allowed to touch him.
Nope.
So okay. So you got guys turning in helmets that are 20 years old and asking them to get painted for $40, and obviously got to turn that down. So, so we had talked about your favorite moment, which was 2004, the national championship. How about we'll go the converse of that? Do you have a least favorite moment other than when you're signing the checks for all these transportations?
Least favorite. I can't think of a least favorite.
That's good. I mean, every day probably you're shaking your head, scratching your head, going, "Why am I still doing this?"
Every year you're like, "I'm not doing this no more. That's my last year."
Yep.
I've been saying it for 25 years. My last year.
Right.
Yeah, but you took a couple years off though, right? Before that.
Yeah,
I know with the Shock you weren't around. You took some time away.
When was that? 08, 09?
Yeah. Yeah, because we started the Shock in 09. And then
it was 2010. Did you come in that year or in my first year as head coach?
No, I took 10 off because we had 09. We had that big fight in Lindenville.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Well, that's perfect timing. That's
Yeah.
You're very fortuitous there, Christopher. Hanky hit it.
No. You want me to go to the question?
Yes, sir.
All right, G. So, and me and you have been in some pretty epic fights through our time here playing together, and but the question is, through your semi-pro career, everybody's got a fight story. Doesn't matter. What is the most epic fight story that you have from your semi-pro career?
Myself, or
yes, yourself.
I was never in a fight on the field.
No.
No.
You might be one of the only ones, buddy.
No.
Okay, so were you ever involved in a fight, not you one-on-one, but maybe a melee took place?
I've been in a few. Not myself. The Lindenville one.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't when who got Chico and Levon with the helmet.
Yep. Versus Mohawk Valley.
Yeah.
Griffin Field. So
Griffin Field. That's where my worst fight went down too.
Yeah. So what happened was Irons was just destroying this one dude the entire game.
Yep.
Literally pancaked the guy and took his helmet, slid it up the other guy's helmet, pushed the other guy's helmet off his face, and just dug his helmet into his face. Pancaked him. So at the end of the game, we're shaking hands, and the Express and Mohawk Valley. I mean, we pretty much hated each other, right? Gee, I mean, it was
Right.
it was a pretty nasty rivalry, and the dude punched Scott in the face with his helmet on, walking in the line at the end of the game. Levon grabs the guy, and somehow his helmet comes off his head because the other guy had his helmet on too. And then the helmet comes over the top throughout the melee. Boom! Right. And then all of a sudden the lights went out.
What is it with Griffin Field and turning the lights off in the middle of a fight?
Oh, my. That's how they end it, baby. That's how they end it. That might have been,
I want to say, the same guy that was involved in the fight in 09 too.
Yes, it was.
Was
it? Yeah, yep. I want to say that was that Mohawk
Kenny,
Valley was maybe 2000.
You were with the Vipers when we went to Marlboro, right?
Oh yeah.
We went out and played Marlboro.
Mm-hmm.
And the game got called because the same person.
Weird. Reputation precedes you.
Dude, Marlboro was a bad team. They were good as hell too, man.
Yeah.
I love
playing the Shamrocks.
Yeah, they came back
Shamrocks?
this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my brother actually lives in that area, and his wife is friends with a whole bunch of their players because she's from that area. So it's kind of ironic. We went through the streets of, because I've been there a couple times. I think in '93 that's where we went to when I was with the Express, and we played our national game there. We got beat because our quarterback quit and our head coach quit, and we had some other quitters, and it was just ugly. But yeah, at least they took us out to eat afterwards. They took us to this bar that was underneath like this 3-level place, and we had the whole bar downstairs.
Oh, that's a great place. Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about?
We partied out there. Yeah.
I mean, so at least they fed us like pigs too. So it was great.
Yeah, it was good.
But they whooped our ass because, well, like I said, our quarterback had quit, our head coach had quit because that was the year of the melee in Griffin Field. No, that person wasn't involved. He wasn't around yet. But yeah. So, but it was an interesting. It was an interesting, Marlboro, and I never forgot him. Yeah, because then we went back, and I remember that. Yeah, so
never forget that.
Yeah, and that team dominated for years. Those Shamrocks, they were national champs a few times, and so yeah, they're a great team. So Christopher, we appreciate your time today. We're going to wrap this up. I know you got a house thing going on, and we're right about at our hour mark here, so we don't want to drag you out too long. But we definitely appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you taking time out of your day. Obviously, I appreciate everything you did for me with the shock and coaching me, and it's your fault that I'm still doing this thing. I think you could have told me to quit way back when, and it would have been over. Yeah. But
listen, before he goes, hang on, Kenny.
Uh-oh.
I got one thing.
All right. Uh-oh. This ought to be no idea what he's doing here.
Actually, two things before he goes.
Uh-oh.
Because he's the reason I have both of these. This isn't a national championship trophy. This one, you remember that trophy?
Yeah.
I still have that
hell is
trophy,
that bobblehead?
All right.
I used to
this
get
is the best lineman of the game.
Nice.
We got that one. And because of because he knew how to push all the buttons, I have this one too. And this was my I don't know if you could see it. It's probably in the light there. That's my All-American trophy from back in the day. That was from 04, and I got 05 All-American too. These trophies are not just the national title trophy, but these are because of Gorman too, man.
They had All-American trophies back then? Or All-American awards?
Minor League Football News. Oh. Is Dick even still alive? I don't even know if Dick's still alive.
He passed a couple years ago.
Did he? Great dude. Love the dude. I played a bunch of games for him. They called Fasco at the time. It was so fun.
I remember Fasco, yeah.
You made a ton of connections. Yep.
Yeah, I reached out to them not too long ago, but no one got back to me. So I'd love to interview somebody from there. I was actually asking if they wanted to talk about COVID and whatnot and see what it's doing across the country. But so if they're listening, hell, we'd like to talk to you guys. So but no, Gorman, really, really appreciate your time today. Appreciate you hopping on with us. Appreciate you sharing some of your stories. I know we kind of zipped through it in just an hour, but we'll have you back for sure. You got a lot more to tell in that.
Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely, buddy.
Surprised the hour went by already.
I know it's fast.
I know
it goes by fast when you're bullshitting. I tell you what, when you reminisce, there's times I've been an hour and a half deep and still had to cut it off. The first one I went over an hour, Hanky wasn't with me. He's like, dude, really? An hour and 27 minutes?
Like, dude, what are you doing, bro? Like, what the hell are you doing?
You just start ranting and you forget.
You know who you got to get on here is Tex. You got to get Tex on here.
He's gonna.
That son of a bitch. He don't forget anything. He remembers plays from '93.
Photographic.
He remembers. He remembers every ass whooping he got because there was a lot of them. So, and he remembers every single one.
No, he's actually on my list.
That's not what he tells us.
The best thing is Gorman not putting him in the game, no matter what. It was, oh my God, it was the greatest thing. Hey, Chris, won't put me in the game. I'm
what were you torturing him?
Amazing.
I remember when we were with
terrible.
When we were with the I always get like the Vipers in the Storm backwards, but we were in the Vipers. He used to pull up in his rig, park it up next to Weeks Field, and come trotting off. I'm like, who is this guy? Then it was.
Hey man, I'm ready to play. Gorman, just put me in the game, Gorman. I go out there and block everybody. And then Gorman would be like, you know what? Shut the fuck up. Go out there in the game. And he would get blowed up. And Chris would be like, all right, switch him back out. And he'd be like, see, I told you. Nah, man, nah. It was good. There's many stories of Gorman just, I could go all day with the stories of the shit that we went down with the Express and, oh my God.
Well, good. When we get Tex on here, we'll have a lot of laughs then.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk a lot of shit.
Sure. All right. All right, Chris, we definitely appreciate your time. And we look forward to having you on the next one.
All right, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Be good.
Thanks, brother.
Hanky, great week, buddy. We'll talk to you next week, all right?
All right.